هادئة جدا.
Good afternoon. You're watching the English newscast on Future Television. I'm Linda Tamim, and these are today's top stories. Prime Minister Tamam Slam says local polls help to revive deadlocked institutions and will hopefully pave the way for parliamentary elections. The truce in Syria's battleground city Aleppo expires with no new extension. And Brazil senators vote to put President Dilma Rousseff on trial over allegations that she illegally manipulated the budget to hide a growing fiscal deficit. Prime Minister Tamam Slam says local polls help to revive deadlocked institutions and will hopefully pave the way for parliamentary elections. Addressing a crowd during the opening of the 24th Annual Arab Economic Forum, Salam said it is not impossible to build on this achievement to restructure the constitution, and one of its main pillars is the presidency. He said he believes that rival political parties can reach a new modern electoral law and stage parliamentary polls, and called on rival parties to expand ongoing dialogue to maintain stability and safeguard Lebanon amid the surrounding conflicts, mainly in Syria. Salam praised the Interior Ministry on its work during the municipal polls, which kicked off its first round Sunday in Beirut and the Bekaa Valley, saying it proved that the state and its security agencies can manage and protect the most challenging and complicated elections if the political will is found. He also lamented the prolonged power vacuum at the state's top Christian post and criticized various parties for their persistent carelessness, which he said impeded state institutions. 2 municipal councils and 7 muhtars were announced as uncontested winners in the southern Lebanese district of Marjayoun, just over a week before municipal polls are scheduled to take place. 12 people won by acclamation in the Beni Hayyan municipality, while 9 won in the Wazani municipality. 7 muhtars, or local government officials, also won by acclamation in seven different towns and villages in the Marjayoun district, including Deir Mimas, Jdaidat Marjayoun, Beni Hayyan, Alman, Wazani, Sarda Umra, and Qsair. Elections are set to take place there and in the South Lebanon Governorate on May 22nd. Health Minister Wael Abu Faoud has ordered for the temporary closure of a Beirut bakery for its failure to meet minimum health standards. Ministry inspectors found that the Picasso bakery just off Shar al-Khouri street in Beirut was not conforming to minimum standards of hygiene, prompting Abu Faoud to ask Beirut Governor Ziad Chbib to close it until further notice. The ministry has temporarily or permanently shut down many food establishments found to be violating health and safety standards or operating illegally since the launch of a campaign a year and a half ago. A Lebanese national was severely wounded after 2 masked gunmen opened fire at him in the northeastern border town of Arsal. Omar Mohammed al-Hujairi sustained a gunshot wound to the neck after 2 unidentified assailants on a motorbike opened fire at him on Jamal Road. Hujairi was admitted to Al Rayyan Hospital in the city of Baalbek, East Lebanon. The circumstances of the incident remain unknown. The truce in Syria's battleground city Aleppo has expired with no new last-minute extension as a besieged town near the capital prepared to receive its first humanitarian aid in 4 years. World powers are to meet in Vienna next week to try to push faltering peace talks towards ending a 5-year conflict that has killed more than 270,000 people and displaced millions. Government helicopters dropped barrel bombs on Aleppo's rebel-held eastern districts with no reports of casualties following airstrikes overnight that killed 2 fighters. In the Damascus region, 8 agencies were to deliver relief supplies to the rebel-held town of Daraya, the first since 2012. 5 trucks organized by the Red Cross, the United Nations, and the Syrian Arab Red Crescent were to deliver baby milk and medical and school supplies. Announced the appointment of actress Cate Blanchett as Global Goodwill Ambassador. Cate visited Jordan, where she witnessed the ongoing humanitarian support to people displaced by conflict in Syria. Syrian refugee Ala speaks with Cate about her Dafi scholarship, which is enabling her to study to be a teacher.
This is our second mission with UNHCR and our first time in Jordan. We went straight to Azraq camp, but I don't think anything had really prepared us for just how much of a moonscape it was.
We met with a maths teacher, Shadi, and his new bride.
And they had met in the camp.
Yeah, Sawa. And they'd actually just had a baby.
Baby Shams.
Yeah, so they were literally beginning a new life together. He'd been doing his physics degree at university, and that had been interrupted by crisis. And so he was working as an assistant relief teacher in the schooling system inside Azraq, teaching maths. So he was very adamant about, once again, about returning to Syria and about teaching a generation of youngsters to be able to go back and make a new society. Once again, it was all focused on he was all about the future. They both were.
And we got an impromptu maths lesson, which was astonishing. But you know, he was incredibly resourceful and adaptable and positive. He was so alive with the magic of maths that he was wanting to show them positive tricks and give them an instant love of learning. And he was such an inspiring teacher. I thought, my God, if only I had had a maths teacher like Shadi, perhaps I would not be an actor. Well, perhaps I still would be an actor. I mean,
you'd be better at maths.
I'd be slightly better at maths. In Zagreb, we met a Dafi scholar, Ala. She was 8 months pregnant. She'd been studying media and journalism in Syria, and she hoped through the Dafi scholarship that she might continue and complete that. But that wasn't on offer, so she was going to complete her tertiary education and become a teacher. But she said, as long as I can complete and get a certificate and a degree, she just wanted to move through to that last stage in her education. And she was 8 months pregnant, and she walked for 80 minutes a day, and then to get the bus for 10 minutes. And she said, I'm really tired, because she's 8 months pregnant. I know what that feels like. She was so determined to complete that she was going to make that, you know, that 80-minute walk through the camp and beyond to catch the bus. Whether one goes on to be a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, it's about having the engagement in the world and the access to information. You know, it's that desire to connect is there, and I mean, that's what makes us all human. Where we have a deep vein of compassion, and it's you know, it feels like as a species we're kind of at a fork at the road. Do we go down the compassionate path, or do we go down the path of intolerance? And I know, as a mother, I want my children to go down the compassionate path. There's much more opportunity, there's much more optimism, and there is a solution down that path. There is no solution down the path of intolerance.
Coming up next, the 69th Cannes Film Festival officially kicks off in Cannes. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching the English newscast here on Future Television. 4 separate car bombings in the Iraqi capital, Baghdad, have claimed at least 90 lives. Wednesday's deadliest blast from a 4WD vehicle packed with explosives occurred near a beauty salon in a market at rush hour in Baghdad's Sadr City neighborhood, killing at least 63 people and wounding more than 100 others. The Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant group claimed responsibility for all of the apparently sectarian attacks on Wednesday, the year's bloodiest day in Baghdad. In a statement on social media, ISIL said the assault in Sadr City was carried out by a suicide bomber, a claim Iraqi officials denied. Yemen's government and Iran-backed rebels have discussed the crucial issues of military withdrawals, the handover of weapons, and the restoration of state institutions during peace talks. UN envoy Ismail ul-Sheikh Ahmed said negotiators also debated the logistical details of a release of prisoners and detainees announced a day earlier. It was their 3rd day of consecutive face-to-face meetings, the longest run yet in the 3-week-old talks. The UN envoy, however, did not say if the teams made any progress on these issues, which are central to any peace settlement in the impoverished Arab nation. Brazil's senators have voted to put President Dilma Rousseff on trial over allegations that she illegally manipulated the budget to hide a growing fiscal deficit. After a marathon debate ending with a vote, 55 of the 81 senators voted in favor of the impeachment, while 22 voted against. Rousseff will now be suspended from office, and Vice President Michel Temer, of Lebanese origin, will take over for up to 6 months, pending a decision on whether to remove her from office permanently. Rousseff's presidency has been damaged by corruption scandals, political paralysis, and a sharp economic downturn. American actor and UN messenger for peace Michael Douglas says it is the most dangerous time in nuclear disarmament due to an escalation of tensions between Russia and the United States and modernization of bombs. Douglas says fears of nuclear terrorism make disarmament even more urgent and important, in his words.
Today is probably one of the most crucial times I can ever think in this situation, the most dangerous time that we have. We have a huge escalation of tensions between Russia and the U.S. As Beatrice mentioned, we've had discussions about modernizations of bombs, try to make them smaller, more comfortable, easier to manage, easier to use. We have a deep problem and concern about terrorism, and I can't think of any time in the whole issue of nuclear disarmament that this is not more crucial. I don't know. It's a good question. I guess one of his strengths or weakness, depending on how you look at it, is his unpredictability. I do know him personally. He's been my wife and I share our same birthday. He's been at a birthday party of ours. I play golf with him. He's a pleasant guy, like a lot of people. If you don't talk politics or religion, it's easy to get along with a lot of people. But he's got a good self-deprecating sense of humor, and obviously phenomenon, and has hit a button. He speaks, but I really don't know, because there is that unpredictability with him.
An earthquake with a magnitude of 5.6 shook northeast Taiwan, with tremors felt in the capital, Taipei. The quake was centered 14 kilometers northeast of the coastal town of Suao. There were no immediate reports of injuries, collapsed buildings, or other damage. The local Central Weather Bureau reported a magnitude of 5.8. The 69th Cannes Film Festival officially kicked off last night in the French sea resort of Cannes, with 21 films competing for awards. Following the red carpet ceremony, in which the jury and crew of the opening film were presented to the public, the opening ceremony, hosted by French comedian Laurent Lafitte, took place in the Film Festival Palace. This year's opening film was Café Society by American film director Woody Allen. Headed by Australian film director George Miller, 9 jury members will view the 21 films and announce the award winners on May 22nd, the last day of the film festival. This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a recap of our top stories. Prime Minister Tamam Slam says local polls help to revive deadlocked institutions and will hopefully pave the way for parliamentary elections. The truce in Syria's battleground city Aleppo expires with no new extension. And Brazil's senators vote to put President Dilma Rousseff on trial over allegations that she illegally manipulated the budget to hide a growing fiscal deficit. Those are your top stories for today. I'm Limit Tamim, and I thank you all for watching.
هادئة جدا.